Geekonomy, the 4th of December, and this morning I have the pleasure of speaking with Eli שוורץ, and we are going to have a conversation about the most sexy topic in the world, search engine optimizations.
But we can go broader and talk about marketing.
Yeah, but I got to admit, and we will go broader and we will talk about marketing, but just SEOs, the vast majority of people heard the term, heard the acronyms. I'm sure they don't know the fine-tuning or what that even means. So let's go just do like a history brief.
So most people hate the term, and when they think of SEO, they think of something dirty. So family members, my parents will send me something and be like, hey, I saw this about SEOs and how terrible you are. They hate them even worse than lawyers because it's that experience of like you search for something and it's bad. It's because the SEOs did it. But really, if we bring it all the way back to the beginning, search engines came onto the scene, let's say 25 years ago, 26 years ago.
Hasta la Vista 98, yeah. S. Jeeves, then
S.
Google.
Jeeves, Excite, all the things that all died and Google took over. So when they came on the scene, there was a lot of money to be made. So everyone wanted to figure out how to make money off of these search engines. So they started doing some basic tweaks, which were all the most disgusting and dirty things that you could do, like jamming a bunch of words onto a page that were completely irrelevant. And it worked for those engines. But it wasn't invented by SEO. It was really invented by people that optimized yellow pages. So I don't know if you have it in Israel, but in America, we had these yellow pages, we had businesses, and the A's were the biggest. Everyone's like, I'm A locksmith, and someone's like, I'm AAA locksmith, and then you have someone with 4 A's. That's the
because you want to go first.
You want to go first, and that's what search engine optimization was. So when you moved from yellow pages to the internet, everyone's optimizing wanting to be first. So there were sites that really were mortgage sites, and they would optimize for the thing that most people searched for online, which was adult pictures. So they optimized for that because you never know. Like maybe when you're looking for that, you're going to decide you need a mortgage. But that was the beginning of search engine optimization. And then Google comes onto the scene and they get a lot smarter, and they started using algorithms to demote those tactics, but then to find the ideas of what people are actually looking for. So it would be things where they would look at, from a scholarly standpoint, in academic research, if one academic is really smart, then other academics will say they're smart. So you look at this web of people talking about one thing, and you can deduce that one thing is the source. So they tried to apply that to search engines. And the way they did it is by pages linking to other pages. But of course, marketers come in and say, well, if pages link to other pages, and that makes me rank higher in this search engine, I'm going to buy it. So then Google layers on more algorithms. By this time, it's really only Google that's left. So they layer on more algorithms to try to figure out if it's manipulated. And that's what gets us to today, this constant process of like marketers figure out a loophole, Google, and now we have other search engines come in and slap down that loophole and make it so that users will actually want to use this thing. So the SEO thing that people make fun of and my family members send me actually doesn't exist anymore. So
I love the fact that people that are actually doing SEO or paying others to do SEO for them have like a picture in their mind that Google owes them something. It's like Google broke the SEO system. It's like, yeah, motherfuckers, you're trying to juice the system and Google is trying to prevent it from you, and Google didn't break anything. You are trying to break their algorithm.
Exactly. They have this whole idea, and now Google's making people pay more for it because you can't get it for free, so you have to pay for it. And the same thing happened with Facebook.
And Amazon now.
And Amazon they took away organic, and now you're mad. But you got it all for free to begin with, and you manipulated the system, so now you have to pay. But there are actually ways to do this without manipulating, especially when it comes to SEO, which is the entire goal of any search engine, Google and every other search engine included, is to give a great experience to users. So if users are trying to find something, they're trying to find an address, they're trying to find something to buy, they're trying to find information, that's what they're in business to do. If you can't really find that, then you click on ad. So if you align with what users actually want to do, no games, no loopholes, no tactics, that's the ideal SEO you should be doing. So when people talk about SEO changing because of AI, it hasn't changed from that perspective. Google just closed, and other engines just closed a bunch of loopholes. But if you align with users and understand your users, no loopholes will close.
What changed recently?
The loopholes have changed. So this idea that
give me some examples, for instance.
Yeah, so the idea that you can jam a bunch of words into a page and say your website is now about this content, that changes because what AI does is it understands the entire concept of what you're looking for. So for example, I actually think that most SaaS companies should never bother doing SEO. The reason they shouldn't bother doing SEO is because if you take 5 steps back and you're a SaaS buyer, you usually don't use a search engine first and foremost. The first thing you do is if you're looking for, let's say, a KYC product, you go and ask your friends, what do you use for KYC? You go into your Slack communities, what do you use for KYC? You go to a conference and you pick up all the swag and you learn about the KYC companies. You don't just throw the word KYC tool into Google and then buy the first thing you see. It's a broader process. Now, even if you did throw the term KYC tool into Google and you found a company doing KYC, now you do a bunch of more research. You're not instantly going to buy that product. That's SaaS. So the reason I don't think most...
I'll say that at least in some occasions, I would look for a comparison site that will mark down the 5 best alternatives for a KYC, which usually is just a marketing plot, and somebody's doing an SEO on that article just to make sure it's up on top of the list. So me as a potential buyer will actually see that article, and of course the article will try to convince me to buy the service that someone actually paid that author to do, maybe.
Well, guess that just closed.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of what just closed. So that article that was written by all of those websites, so let's say they were an affiliate. Let's say they didn't even sell the KYC tool. So there's companies that sell the KYC tool, they make that comparison and they put themselves at the top of the list. Or you have affiliate sites who are just making money off of everyone. You no longer need that, because if you do a comparison right now, AI overviews, which is Google, or ChatGPT, or AI mode, which is also Google, or Gemini, which is Google, will now do that comparison for you. They'll take all that information that existed on the website, all the websites they crawled, and it'll give you the answer. So that tactic has now closed, which is I'm just going to write content because I know people are looking for that. You can manipulate that content even more, put more words in, buy those links, try to make it look like you're the original source, but all that closed because you as a buyer, you just want the information. You couldn't care less where it came from.
Yeah, around us, if we'll just do like a radius of 2 kilometers, I'm willing to bet I can name 3 or 4 teams that are now trying to do SEOs for AI, for the big LLMs, and for stealth teams that are trying to do the same thing, but will name it differently.
And this is something that is working right now, but will close faster than anything ever closed before in search history, because the models learn faster. So there are things that worked for a very, very long time on Google, and everyone hated it. So I had friends at Google and I asked them, why is this website ranking? This is disgusting. And then they would just roll their eyes because they knew. But you can't just close things from an algorithm standpoint without having false positives and false negatives. They need to really think through that product, and it takes them a long time. With AI, it's constantly learning, and it's learning from the interactions it has. So all those people that are selling this AI visibility service, if it's a tactic that does not align with the users, it will go away because the engines will learn against it.
Yeah, and it's a matter of momentum. So I know a company that I have in mind right now that have a service they are selling, and one of their prime assets as a company is their good SEO results. In some markets, some big markets for their service, they rank really, really high. And that's one of the biggest assets that they have. And it's causing momentum. So more people are getting more value because their service is getting better because of the SEO. So it's a chicken and egg.
There's 2 aspects to it. So I'm primarily consultant and I work with teams. And what I always do when I work with the team is understand what their goal is and what they're trying to achieve. So the main metric anyone should be using for SEO is always revenue, because this is not a visibility channel. You don't get paid off of showing up on search. Yeah. But there is one other metric, which is if the boss, CEO, board, investors, whoever that is, cares to see a website ranking highly on the most useless term ever, that's still a KPI. So I'm working with the team. If they say, well, we need to rank for, let's say, KYC again, we need to be on the first page for KYC. And I might say, no one's going to buy your tool because you're ranking number 1 on KYC. And they say, it doesn't matter. Every morning I get an email from the investors being like, why aren't you there? That becomes a KPI we strive to achieve.
But now the conversation is much broader. And that's the poor state of the marketing world, yes, where incrementality and other worlds are being thrown side by side, but nobody really gives attention to what it actually means. And I got to admit that only yesterday I sent a message about a company that maybe I worked with, maybe I heard somebody's working with, which is worth tens of billions of dollars, I'm not exaggerating. And I wrote, I can't believe they're operating this way. I just can't. And that's just the truth of it.
You know, that's the thing I love the most about consulting. So I get to see under the hood of so many companies. So I worked with LinkedIn. That company has amazing work-life balance, which means that they can take their monopoly in all the businesses they're in and not necessarily do more things that align with what an outsider might think of as growth. I've worked with other public companies that there's one company, I can't name them, but they have ads in every single airport in the country. They have ads on the sides of buses and highways all over the world, but they care very much about SEO. They have 5 people getting full salaries doing SEO. They don't do anything. Those people can all be fired and nothing will change.
That's my next question. What they're actually doing?
Nothing. They do these things. You know, they go in and reach out to websites and say, can I have a link?
Can you please add a link to your economy page pointing to our service?
To our public company worth multiple billions of dollars, because that link from the economy is going to change some of that valuation. Exactly. I worked with, another one I did is I worked with Tinder for 2 years. So when I worked with Tinder, one of my favorite thing about consulting with companies and coming in as being a part of the team is I become a part of the team and I see all the folders of all their searches for other SEO solutions. So that I got to do that with LinkedIn and see all the pitches that came from other consultants and all the pitches that came from agencies. But Tinder was my absolute favorite. So Tinder is the most popular dating service in the world, part of a public company, part of Match. I saw all the proposals they had received. One of their proposals they had received for SEO was for $50,000 per month to get them links. Tinder doesn't need any links. Nothing will change about Tinder if they get more links, to the point that they actually get as many links as they could possibly get, but $50,000 wouldn't do anything. One of the interesting things I was able to do with them is Tinder, unfortunately, has a very serious reputation problem, which is sometimes Tinder dates don't work out the way people had hoped they would work out.
At least one of the party.
And no, way worse. They end up with someone potentially getting killed. Yeah. So Tinder murder is a search term that people look for. Every time someone gets murdered on Tinder, they get a link. The media will write, this is Tinder.com, and they caused people to get murdered. So Tinder murder would rank on, whatever that article was. So one thing I did with them is this is a very problematic search term. This is a way of thinking SEO in a different way. It's a very problematic search term. They don't want someone searching Tinder murder and saying the things they don't want. We created a game called the Tinder Murder Game, and we built out this entire new product. So when you search for Tinder murder, you actually found Tinder.com, the murder game, and you didn't see the article from the New York Times about someone's date that didn't go the right way.
Yeah, just alternating and doing something else with the same term. That's usually something that, at least I know, a certain company offered rich people that try to get some bad texts about them below the fold, so they just bumped a new text that will just gain more popularity and will reach the top of the search bar, just to make sure that if somebody searches your name, the bad shit will be on page number 2.
Yeah. But see, that only works if it's real. So like I was saying with the Tinder murder game, we didn't just throw up an article and optimize it for the word Tinder murder.
No, you actually need to create
We built out a real game that people played and then was dropped once the team changed.
So when you're talking about B2B buyers that are usually more sophisticated or more sensitive for their money, yeah, I tend to agree. But when it comes to B2C, people, let's say, searching for invitations. I know somebody consulted you earlier this week about that term, and you're searching to sell a service to tens of thousands of Americans who want to buy a service for invites to their event. And in that term, I'm not sure that just searching Google is not something that they're going to do.
They are searching Google, but that person that I talked to, I told him not to do SEO. Yeah. I told him to do tangential SEO, do all the other things. And the reason why is because many people think of SEO as this direct response channel. You put money into SEO and you get money out. It absolutely does not work like that.
Yeah.
You put
Usually with marketing, that the inner phase is something that people are not really being able to explain or even looking hard into.
Well, so when they're self-funded in a bootstrap company, I always tell them not to do it. So if someone comes to me and says, I just raised $50 million, I want to do SEO. And I say, I think that SEO might take you a long time. But they said, well, our investors said we have $5 million to spend in SEO. I'd line up to go help them spend that money.
Yeah, why not?
But because they're going to spend that money. Like this public company that has ads in all the airports, they're going to spend that money. I'm happy to take it from them. There's needles that could be moved. They probably can't be measured. But when someone is bootstrapped and building out a great product for users and they want to continue growing, the way I advise them to do this is to use those other channels, spend money on paid marketing, spend $1 on paid marketing, get $1.10 back. And then they're building a savings account to now invest in this unknown, uncertain channel of SEO.
Yeah, usually, at least with the current affairs of performance marketing with Google and Facebook, the level that the industry got to. And when Mark Zuckerberg finally understands that he needs to talk to actually about what makes his company money and not AR, VR, politics, UFC or whatever, and he actually says something about Meta's main business for the last who knows how many years, and he actually says, listen, very, very soon, you don't need anyone. Just give us the money, and give us the business goals, we'll do the rest. And the reason he says that, because they actually can. For the very first time, they invented an industry, and now they're killing it. And for the very first time, Meta can actually deliver on that promise. And then you need to ask yourself, why do I need to spend money elsewhere? You really need a good answer to spend money elsewhere.
And I don't know that people should. I really think that when you break down where your marketing spend should be, you should have some sort of level of confidence and expectations. And if SEO falls to the bottom of that, don't necessarily spend it then. As a company gets bigger, then why not? You should absolutely build this channel. But I don't think for companies that are bootstrapped or raised a small amount of money, this is the channel they should go into. Acquire a bunch of users with those other channels that are sure things, and then they can go into SEO.
Yeah, and that's the general notion of marketing these days. We had a pendulum that swung between brand awareness only, and then we invented as an industry performance marketing, and then people said, okay, only performance. And now I think it swings a bit to the center because people understand that even performance has their issues because the algorithm is so good, he can give you like mediocre users because it's padding itself.
Yes.
It's a machine, okay? They know they need to deliver you a specific ROI. And if they already gave you specific people that are going to buy the shirt that you're selling, now they can pad it with people that are just looky-loos. They're going to click the link because they already clicked the link 100 times before on other links, and they're going to pad the performance.
Yep.
But you can't do a lot against it. But you need to do other stuff to build a brand. Why? Because for instance, as Israeli group in Israel understood, or other companies in the world, performance is an issue. If you need to pay people every single time to go back to your channel and buy the product, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
You're in trouble because Facebook and Meta are not cheap.
Yep. But that awareness of brand is something new. And that is something that I've been sharing with many startups who look at what's happening with AI and search as this time where now you can grab everything because everything has been reinvented. And that's not true. It actually makes it much harder. So if someone wants to sell the best product in a category, so let's say you come up with the most comfortable shirt in the world. So 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if you wanted to have your comfortable shirt be the most popular comfortable shirt, you would hire an agency that was very effective at hacking into college websites, and they would get you all the links for the words comfortable, most comfortable.
How many years ago, you said?
15.
Okay, 15, I would agree. 50 years ago, it's Madison Avenue, people trying to sell the image.
50, yes. 50 years ago.
The image of the most comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah. So 15 years ago, you could do this. You could get these links. 5 years ago, you could maybe get these links, maybe get ranking on search for a little bit of time, have people buy the shirt, then realize it's a very comfortable shirt. And then when the algorithm slaps you down, you have something remaining because you actually sold a real product. Now you can try all these tactics. So one of the tactics that are being sold by the agencies that you referenced earlier is spamming Reddit. Reddit's a very dangerous place to spam because Redditors can be angry. So if you go on Reddit...
They are toxic only... They're only second X.
They've always been toxic. But
yeah,
now,
I understand. The only two communities that are even close to how toxic Reddit is Twitch and X. That's it.
Right. But Twitch and X are a little bit different because if you piss off that entire community, you disappear and that conversation only stays
Because it's
there.
live.
Right.
Yeah, almost live.
But with Reddit, let's say you're selling B2B software and you go in and throw a bunch of spam into the B2B subreddit, that's never going anywhere. Everyone's always going to remember what a spammer you are.
And let's just focus on why you mentioned Reddit, because I'm not sure that all people know that Reddit is the basis of a lot of the LLM pre-training and training.
It's stopping.
What?
Reddit, that entire idea is stopping because marketers have spammed Reddit. So
Really?
You will see less and less of Reddit as training the algorithm. I think that in 2026, you're going to see a lot more of other sort of social media training the algorithm because it's not as spammy. And Google and Reddit have a direct partnership. So Reddit is being fed into Google.
It's a publicly owned company. You can see the partnership. You can see how much companies are paying Reddit to buy their data. That's the main source of revenue for them.
Yes.
Nothing else worked.
They have the worst ads platform. Yes. When we talk about people are like, well, ChatGPT is just open up an ads platform and it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's easy. Look, Reddit never figured it out. It took Facebook many, many years to figure it out. I remember when I first started advertising on Facebook, I was in my own personal account. I had to click through many links. Then I had to go get my boss's credit card, who had to be like, I'm going to give you the company credit card to put in your own personal Facebook account. They didn't even have these corporate accounts. Agencies were doing this under their own personal accounts.
Gil Hirsch, my partner, sold his company, Face.com, to Meta in 2012, and he worked as a PM on the ad system, and he actually got faxes with just order descriptions, and he plugged it into the machine that they were developing. That's Meta in the early days, 15 years ago, or 13 years ago.
And there's only a handful of people in the entire world that are good at building ad platforms. And if they're
OpenAI bought some of them. Fiji is leading now. Fiji was Gil's boss in Meta, and now she's leading the business side on OpenAI, and she brought a lot of people which are ex-Meta, but it's a hard fit because the intent on OpenAI, it's like Google. You have a strong intent to do something. With Meta, you're just browsing and just plugging in a commercial for a shirt once they know you are more likely to buy that shirt because they have a lot of data on you. It comes on without the cringe. On OpenAI, there's the risk that you're going to get like the cringe effect of, wait, I've asked a question. Are you trying to defer me to do something which it's not the best for me?
Yeah, no,
that's not easy.
They need to build a much bigger platform than just a display ad on top of your response.
It's not that easy.
Not at all.
And adding sponsored content inside of an answer, that's something which is highly risky. If we were talking about a monopoly as OpenAI used to be many, maybe 2 months ago. Now, these days, after Gemini really rocked the world with Gemini 3, and even Grok is gaining some traction. I don't know how much, but Claude is great for programming, and for some reason people are using it.
It's much better at writing. I really like Claude for writing.
For some reason people like Claude, and Claude, I just use it for coding, but there are alternatives. And just messing with your main source of revenue and just adding now links, 10 blue links inside of an answer, that's a real jeopardy for OpenAI.
And they just this week, they said they have a code red, which is fascinating because Google did a code red 2 years ago because of OpenAI.
After Bard.
Yes.
After the Bard fiasco.
Yes.
Nobody even remembers that the first version of Gemini was horrible. It wasn't called Gemini, it was called Bard. They had a black pope or I don't know, some DI nonsense.
They had black Nazis.
Yes, black Nazis. And they came on stage for the worst presentation in the history of technology. People didn't even read the context that the text they were supposed to say on stage before, I guess. They were surprised by what they're saying. It was a complete embarrassment. Google stock plunged. And in a matter of 18 months, all hands on deck, and Google is slapping the shit out of their competition right now.
But I don't know who would have bet against that. There's actually
a lot of people bet against it.
I know,
a lot of people.
There's a Jewish entrepreneur I had a bet with a year ago, And so I forget what the bet was. And I said that Google's going to take over this entire market. He said, I bet you that in a year from now, Google will be worth less than $2 trillion. So I just messaged him and I said, I don't know what we bet. Google's worth almost $4 trillion. So let's just say now you have to come to Israel and we need to have breakfast and lunch and dinner every single day.
Bill Ackman, even a more famous a Jewish, not entrepreneur, but a businessman, he took a huge stake in Google, I think at a price of $117. And a lot of people said, what is Bill Ackman doing? Just buying Google?
Yeah.
What's the big leak about just buying Google? And for $170 a share, what are you doing, Bill Ackman? He was right, as he was right for buying the Israeli stock exchange when at the beginning of the war. Great decisions by him.
Yeah, they have the most users of any product in the entire world. They also have deep, deep pockets. And when it comes to ads, there's very few people that can do what they do in ads. But when it comes to AI, there are even less AI engineers. And Google can afford those AI engineers. They're paying NBA level salaries. And they were able to recover because they have all those users. They have the deep pockets. This is something that...
No NBA player is getting paid as Noam Shazir is.
Yeah.
That's NBA owner salary. That's not an NBA player salary. Exactly. There's a famous bid by Chris Rock. He's saying, I don't want an NBA salary. I want the salary of the person paying the NBA star.
Exactly.
And that's what Google is paying Noam Shazir and the rest of the people there.
Yes.
That's not an NBA salary. That's not a Danny Abder salary.
Right. No, I think Google will hold this. Now that they have it back, they have the users. And there's so many people that they're just never going to check out ChatGPT because it's
I don't know. OpenAI is still a very strong brand, but everything is fluctuating so fast and you can drop the ball like anybody else. And when it comes to this exact topic that we're talking about, that's the exact point where OpenAI can drop the ball. If it's going to get too commercial. So I wanted to buy a new mattress. And I asked OpenAI because, if somebody is really certain about what they're saying, I'm going to believe it and it's fine. With a mattress, you just need to pick one. Right. And you just want somebody to be really reassuring and say, go for it. Hollandia is worth the price or Hollandia is not worth the price. And I did an experiment and then I took the results and I went to X and said, I'm not sure I'm not going to do anything else in the future. And there was a whole discussion and just thinking that if that process in OpenAI is now going to get commercial, I don't know, that's a very risky proposition.
Yeah. Well, I've always thought that OpenAI will stop competing with Google when it comes to search because I think OpenAI can be a fantastic B2B enterprise company, but they don't necessarily have to
How so? Selling their API?
Selling their API.
Yeah, like Claude is doing.
Exactly. So OpenAI can do that.
I'm sorry.
But Google entered into their business with Nano Banana, with I don't know if you
enter their business. Well, they steamrolled their business.
They steamrolled it, but they weren't there. So ChatGPT was trying to compete with Google on search, and Google went and competed with all the other things that OpenAI did, and I think they're doing much better. I just recently tried. Have you tried the slides thing?
Yes,
it's amazing.
Yes, it's like, pure magic.
It is beautiful, and the Nano Banana is beautiful. Which Nano Banana is in Israel, by the way. It came from Israel. Like this.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
really, it was developed in Israel. Okay.
I don't know the exact name, but whoever's listening could go check this out. But I was told by Google employees that whoever was the PM for Nano Banana is Israeli and he refused to leave Israel. So they built it here.
Okay, good for him.
It's good for Israel.
Yes, good for Israel. It's a great model. It's spooky good.
Yes.
At times. But let's go back to SEOs. And a lot of people are claiming that they have the ability to really create a change in OpenAI results because of SEO, where a techie would understand that what they are referring to is actually just doing an SEO on Bing because of the way that OpenAI is conducting their business.
Well, they're also crawling Google.
Either way,
yes.
It's still just traditional SEO wrapped in the new world of AI. Where are you? What are you thinking about this?
So I think of AI as a UI change. It's not a fundamental model change. So there's two things that everyone's trying to sell it as this new thing. It's AI is completely different. You have to sell, they came up with a new acronym, whether it's AIO or AEO or GEO or other things they've made up. It's not.
And they're trying. Everybody's
They're
trying.
trying.
Yeah, everybody's trying to dub a new name for it.
There's a great reason to do a new name, because now you pay me $10,000 a month for SEO, and for another $10,000 a month, I'll also do your AEO. That's why they want a new name. Otherwise, if it's just the same thing, it should be covered under the same SOW.
Yeah, there used to be a storefront optimization for Play Store and App Store.
Yes.
And there used to be, every time there's a new hub to gain new users, there's a reason to pay someone.
Another retainer.
That's the same story time and time again. There are entire companies like Natural Intelligence in Israel that made a big business above this understanding. But I feel like it's a brand new world. I'm not sure that everything is going to...
It's mostly the same. So I would say it's a UI change, which is number one. There's been many UI changes, but this is the biggest. So you do a search.
Since mobile, at least.
Yeah, I guess mobile is the biggest, but this is, you do a search, and instead of results, you get answers. And it depends on where you are in the funnel. So what I've been advising all the clients I work with is think about mid-funnel. So the top of funnel, which was used to optimize for before, doesn't really exist because all that best mattresses to buy is now in an AI overview, so you don't need to click below. But when you're ready to buy that mattress, you can't buy it from AI overviews. Google doesn't want to sell it to you there. You want to read experiences. That's when you're clicking the links. That becomes mid-funnel. So it's a UI change because now the search results look different.
Try to do an experiment. Just search Google and you'll realize that for the last few months, most likely, you didn't even... It used to be nobody goes below the fold, which meant like the 4, 5, 6 first searches are the only one that are being actually watched.
Yes.
These days, even the first one is not being watched because you're seeing the snippet that Gemini is presenting you inside of Google, and that's the reason Gemini can bolster 800 million users, because they are presenting the result on every Google search, and you know what? All of you, including myself, are using it, and you didn't even notice.
Absolutely. But there's another thing that's happening there, and when it comes to SEO, they make up a lot of words. So there was a word that was made up a couple of years ago around essentially keyword density, which is how many times you use the word in a page. So they made up other scientific ways, which had to do with frequency and consequential and sequential and all this stuff. Keyword density. So now the term that people have made up, it's called query fan out. So if you look at...
Come again?
It's called query fan out.
Query fan out.
So if you look at any of the documentation from Google and OpenAI, they talk about query fan out. What query fan out basically is when you do a search on Google, so you get the suggest. So you type mattress and Google will say to buy, near me, all that. It suggests it, and it brings you down a journey. So that gives you ideas based on the data set of people have searched
most
mattress.
Likely, and there's the same model just in a different form.
Right. So what query fan out does is when you do a search, it now takes all of those queries behind the scenes, looks at all the potential queries, and then makes a prompt for your AI overview. And now you get a different result. So it's not just I search mattress to buy. This is what's in the database for mattress to buy. Everyone that searches the same thing will get the exact same results. It does this query fan out. Query fan out can be based on things that other query fan outs are not based on. It's just lots of suggest that comes up with an ideal prompt.
Yeah.
But again, it's the same principles. There's one more thing that's actually going to change, which will destroy SEO. And I happen to like this because
you're the Yirmiyahu of SEOs.
I am. I like to. I never heard that before. I like to work with companies and come up with their strategies to understand their users and not create spam. So this is going to be really, really disastrous for people that are spamming and thinking about tactics of spamming Google, which is personal context. So context-aware search. So this is something that exists in somewhat like when you search for best coffee near me. So best coffee near me, it's going to take your location and it's going to show you coffee shops near you because it appends that invisibly.
And of course, it's going to be based on Google rankings because everybody leaves a review and they just can take like the upper echelon of places being reviewed. They won't prompt you with a place that got a 1.8 reviews on average.
Exactly. So taking some of that and it's changing the search based on where you are and what you're doing. So at I/O last year, this year still, at Google's big event, they announced that they were going to have personal context within AI mode. So what that means is if I search something, I search best mattresses to buy, and you search best mattresses to buy, they know that I might be cheaper than you, and you might be more picky, and we're going to get completely different results from a search.
People like you search in the past for mattresses that are worth 10,000 shekels and not 40,000 shekels.
But no, not people like you. People exactly like me, based on my entire history.
That's people like you.
Yes.
That's the first time people like you are actually people
it's
like
just
you.
It's exactly. And so I don't know if everyone is getting it, but you can go into, I forget where I got the prompt, either in Slides or Gmail, where you can now tie your workspace, which is what they call Gmail, into Gemini. And that's the first.
It's a race. It's a race, and I'm being bombarded. If you'll open your OpenAI workspace, just the same UI, but you have enterprise account, you'll have a very big button, bold button, an arse button as I call it.
Yeah.
Press here to connect it to your organization to share the knowledge.
Yes.
And the same thing goes with Gemini, where you're getting Gemini on two different fronts on the side, as Microsoft already did. If you're a personal user and you have Drive because you have the picture of your kids and you're paying 70 shekels like me for a massive amount of data, you're getting Gemini Pro on the side. And then they can sell you Gemini and everything else, connect it to your family, and you are locked for eternity. On the other side, on the enterprise front, they know that, like me, you're using Google Suite, and you maybe are using some kind of a Gmail account because of you're using Google Suite, and maybe you're using GCP and other services from Google, and then they hook up Gemini, and you're sold. On the first launch with Bard, they try to upsell me. Yeah. They try to give me like a proposition, maybe we can incorporate Bard or Gemini, whatever it was called a year and a half ago, for twice the price. And I said, fuck no. I don't see a reason to do that. Right. I said, okay, Ram, you will. I said, no, I won't. These days, it's basically the same amount of money because they did trickery of just a good B2B company that Google is trying to be as Microsoft is, and they're finally at it. And now Gemini has the entire context of the company. And that's an entirely different proposition.
It's not just the company.
It's me.
It's your entire history of Google.
Yes.
So it's every Gmail you've sent. It's every slides you've created. It's every search you've done, every YouTube you've watched.
No, it's meetings. They're now transcribing the meetings. They know what we are saying and we are giving it to them.
Yes, but it goes even deeper than that. Someone might say, well, I don't use Gmail. I don't use any of these things.
Yeah, the other person you are writing to is using.
Yes, but it gets even worse. 80% of the world is using Chrome as a browser. Most people are logged into Chrome as a browser because it saves your passwords. So now they know every single website you have visited, how much time you spent on the website.
And some of you are not logged into Chrome. Yeah,
sure.
There's a team in Google that their only definition of success is a percentage of people using Chrome that are actually logged in.
Yes.
It's the identity team. They're sitting right next to us, like 200 meters from where we're sitting right now. That's their KPI, and they're doing great.
Yeah.
The majority of you are logged into Google so they can collect the data.
Exactly. Well, so there's a team at Google, a very, very large team called the notifications team. What the notifications team does, I've met a bunch of engineers who just share about their job. What they do is they're creating invisible notifications about things that you like on Google, and that's how they're building personalization. And when that goes in traditional search, SEO changes. So now when someone does anything, it becomes based on their past history. So if you search best movies to watch this weekend, all of us now are going to get the exact same search results. Very soon, you won't. It will be based on, first they'll give an AI overview, which will say, these are the movies for you. Or they'll reorganize all the websites based on you like drama, you like romance, you like horror movies. Everything will be different.
Where do you see the future, the near future, the long future? Nobody can guess by now. But the near
I'm going
future.
for the long future. I'm Yirmiyahu.
Yeah, the near future of marketing from that perspective, because things are changing rapidly. The performance part, I'm not sure that. I think both of us are on an agreement. It's just getting better. But everything else, where do you see it changing?
Where I see it should change is we should get more humanity. So I'm writing a new book that will come out sometime next year if I finish it.
Already had a name?
Customer intelligence. So
Intelligence.
Writing so I have a publisher. This publisher sends me emails. Where's the book? So we'll eventually
we gave you a down payment. Early, we gave you a down payment.
Huge down payment. The first book, I full control, but this one, they give me a down payment, they get to own it.
Yes.
But
Lebowski, give us the book.
Yeah, where is it? So this book is really about companies that understand their customers. So what I have found as a consultant is that most companies don't understand their customers unless they're sales-led, or if they're very small and the CEO really gets their customers. It gets completely lost. Can't tell you how many businesses I've tried to work with where I say, who is your buyer? And then they list the thing that's on the wall about their personas and like, is that really your buyer? Like, you need to know that they have a Gucci bag. Like, how does that help them buy analytics software?
Yeah, they usually have a name for them. Our buyer is Karen. Karen is 40 years old.
Karen is white and she has a Honda and she has a Gucci bag. And I'm like, okay, how much money, how much budget does she have? Who's her boss? So that's the book. It's really understanding how to build customer intelligence in a company based on best practices.
Okay, that's a nice tagline and that's a nice way to look at it. But let's get to the brass tacks. What do you actually think that is going to change?
So it's not going to change, but it should change. I think what companies should do is they should look at how to create more humanity in their marketing, but right now we're going the wrong direction. They're trying to let's fire everyone because we can do this with AI.
We can use AI slap. What do you mean?
Exactly. But the direction they should go is if you look at any small business who really gets their customers, that's the direction they should go with their relationships, but they're moving in the wrong direction. So I think eventually we'll circle back to that and they'll look and say, how come this company is so successful? Why are they doing so well in enterprise sales? Because they have great enterprise sales people. So I think eventually marketing will get back to that.
You know what we were missing? When performance marketing started, you had companies like Lightrix in Israel or Monday or other companies that owe their success to the ability to market everything from office in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem because of Meta and Google. Or, I don't know, Cuts Clothing or other brands that are only digital, that created a massive business on top of Google or Meta. Huge success stories linked to the new brave world of marketing. And in this new world of AI, I'm still searching for the first company that will be the success story, the case study. And there's still no one to be named or found. Think about it. No one. No one is can attribute their success to AI so far.
Yeah, there's short-term hacks, and then everyone else can do it. There's no moat.
Everything is fast. Nothing is defendable, and nothing is so reliable that you can actually invest money and predict success upon. It's a good waste of money. It's really cool to do AI slap with Nano Banana, but I'm still searching for the first company that's going to be a massive success or even an initial success based on AI.
I think that there will be, but I really think we'll eventually circle back to what we're different is we have human salespeople. The way we're different is we emotionally connect with customers.
That's a nice story.
Probably not.
A lot of CEOs need to do a 180, and right now they are really pushing the speed towards the other side.
Yes.
Firing people, spending more money on AI. What exactly do you want the AI to do? Ask the AI.
Exactly. Well, the investors want them to, and their boards.
No. I hate that excuse. That excuse.
They want to save money.
Listen, I have the most. One of my investors is like the poster child for this excuse. SoftBank, Masoisha-san. I'll never use that as an excuse. No, and he's this poster child for you got SoftBank money. You did this or that. No, everything that we've done, which was a mistake, it's us. Not the investors. Every CEO or C-level executive that is using his investors as an excuse is a loser. Listen, don't do that. Don't use their investors. Investor gave money. You need to give them back success.
Yes.
That's your job. I hate that.
That's fair. There are too many companies I come into and they have these AI metrics. Like, we need to be visible in AI. I say, why? Our investors send us this every single
Losers. Losers. They're just... CMOs are usually the losers of the industry because of it. That's the reason that CMOs
They're being pushed everywhere.
Yes, that's the reason the CMOs are being replaced so quickly. Because as an industry, CMOs didn't build a backbone to actually know what they're being measured upon and to actually build a business. So they're just being pushed from side to side with trends, and usually trends are vain.
Well, they're being measured by how much money they spend.
No, if they were, money they're spent.
How big their budget is. Exactly. Yeah. I think they should be measured. Like, I get this question all the time. And every time I'm on a podcast, what metrics should we use for AI? Like, what's wrong with revenue? What's wrong with the same business KPIs used for performance marketing? What's wrong with the same business metrics they use for the rest of the business? Salespeople get paid for closing deals. Organic performance, close deals. Bring revenue in.
Yes. Shimon Tools, my friend who is giving us this office, he used to be a CTO and now he's a CEO. And he took everything the CTO way. Everything is analytical. So when he goes to a convention, he knows exactly who is meeting. Every time he's going right now he's on AWS reInvent, I guess. He's not here in the office, so I guess he's right now in AWS reInvent. And he knows exactly who he's talking to. He has a hit list. He already made that appointment. He's not just flying over to have fun. A lot of people in marketing are just flying over to have fun. And they're taking the same approach when they're spending money on SEOs and other stuff. It's fun.
Well, I'll push back against that because I approach this from a marketing standpoint. I go to conventions. I never know who I'm going to meet. And I end up leaving with best friends.
No, but you're different. You're just trying to get new clients and you don't know who you want to send invite to. When he's flying,
that's
he
fair.
Knows. He has like 100 names on his list and Rona is investor. She knows Shimon is going to bring her 5 new customers off that list and he flies because he's going to get 3 out of those 5 in that convention. Everything is analytical. But what you're doing, you're just trying to meet the world and maybe you'll find something. That's entirely different.
Yep.
That's sales. That's marketing.
You need a mix of both.
Yeah, you need a mix of both. But everything needs to be more analytical. You need to ask yourself, did what I just did was worth my time, money, or everything?
Well, that's also a very Israeli approach. So the American approach, and I love American clients, is they raise a bunch of money and then the goal is to spend a bunch of money. So that works out for me.
Yeah.
But it is not that approach. The Israeli approach is they raise a bunch of money and now they feel very personally responsible. And like this SEO thing, I heard about this in the Geekonomy podcast. I'm good. I figured out how to do it by myself. I'm never hiring anybody to do it because I can do it by myself.
Yes, we're vain. We're very vain.
Yes. But it means that the companies stay lean. They're aggressive, but it prevents them from growing. And I think you need a mix of both.
So when do you think a company really needs to invest in an SEO as an Yirmiyahu of the field?
Never. No, I think it's an investment. So you think about it as building something for the future. So when you've locked up the today, when you figured out how to pay rent and when you figured out how to pay your salaries and you're ready to invest in a channel that may not pay you back for 2 years, that's when you do it. But if you're still figuring out how to make payroll and you're still like your burn is down to 6 months, don't invest in something that will take 18 months to really show fruit.
You don't think that if I'll just write an AI slab that will create blogs in 12 different languages, the ROI is going to be positive?
I think that you can make a couple dollars today, but then your reputation will be hit so badly, it's not worth it.
Give me like an example of what you're thinking about. Just you'll have like a trace of bad slap behind you?
No, there are companies that are getting flamed right now on X.
Can you give it like examples or you don't want to?
It's my friend that did it. So
okay. So don't name names. Okay, just give like a vague example.
I won't name names, but it's a company that has raised a ton of money and they're using AI slop. And if you search their term plus any sort of variation, you find more versions of AI slop. And let's do it at analytics. So there's an analytics company that is like analytics for X, analytics for Grok, analytics for Claude. And it's all the same slop. It kind of works right now. But then someone captures a screenshot of that you have 80 different articles that all sound the same that seem to be driving traffic at the exact same time that your CMO or head of growth has shared a screenshot of your traffic going up. Yeah. And then you look at the two together and you're like, there's the slop. But there's ways to not do it. So like there's a company I invested in called AirOps. They're not doing slop. They're not just focused on visibility.
What they're doing?
They're basically making content workflows.
No, what's the company?
AirOps.
No, what's the company's doing?
They're creating content workflows. Okay. Yeah, so it's not slop. It's replacing the content team, not replacing, but assisting the content team. Augmenting in exactly what they should be doing, which is these are the things your users are thinking about. Here's ways to create the content. Not like turn on. There's another company I invested in, which was basically turn on the machine and 100,000 articles come out, and they got companies punished by Google. So they reached back out as an investor. How can you help us? And I'm like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. Another problem they had is they signed up some really big clients, but then they produced 300,000 articles. And then they're like, they churned. Like, you're not supposed to give them the entire 5 years worth of roadmap in 3 months. You got to be like, okay,
pace yourself.
Yeah, this month we'll give you 3 articles. So that's why you have an annual contract. You got to finish the annual contract or they're going to churn.
Yeah, I can dig that. The ability to create a lot of content fast, even if it's code, products, features, everything, anything, just give someone a whole of a lot at the beginning, they're just going to get filled really quick.
And then they get in trouble because this is not good for users. It's not good for search engines.
Just pacing ourselves is something that we'll all need to learn how to do, because there's now maybe the false understand that maybe the real one that we can move much faster than ever before, but just moving at light speed as its price.
Yes, but I think we should move away from content, really think about product. So another company I worked with is Coinbase. So Coinbase, when I started working with them, all the content they had written was around Bitcoin because it was the sexiest thing they could potentially do. But I focused in on their product, which is building pricing pages for every single one of the cryptos, which they pushed back against because most cryptos have no traffic. But one of the cryptos we created a page for was Dogecoin. So when Dogecoin became popular, they got all the traffic. So it's focusing on what are users looking for in a crypto platform like Coinbase? Pricing pages. So we built a really good SEO pricing page that had all the best practices there. There was nothing I could do to force the Dogecoin page to get traffic before it was popular. There was nothing I could do to stop it from getting traffic once it was popular. And then it leveled off. So that's where, instead of thinking about SEO,
it's an interesting case because Brian Armstrong, I feel like, is there a person who is on the potential client base of Coinbase and does not know Coinbase? Marketing, there's always the temptation of let's just shut everything off for a month or two, do the incrementality test, and let's see what happens. For some reason, CMOs are not doing it enough, for some reason. But
well, they're not analytical. They just want to spend.
And they're afraid of if nothing is going to happen, the CFO is going to ask them, hey, so why did you spend in the 10 months prior to that experiment? But I can understand that. But Coinbase, who are they trying to get? Just trying to get like preserving the brand name?
Well, I feel like I should rewind a little bit. I wrote a book called Product-Led SEO.
Okay.
This was the entire thesis of my book, which is building products that an SEO user would be looking for. So rather than starting with this journey of I went into any of the keyword research tools and let's plug SimilarWeb actually, because they're an Israeli company.
Offer, I know from the army. You see? That's the most Israeli thing I can say.
Exactly. So you go into SimilarWeb and you plug in crypto, and then it spits back a list of things related to crypto. And then you hire someone from Bangladesh to write all your articles on crypto, and that's SEO. So the way I approach it, which is you have a crypto trading platform. When users go onto a search engine to look for a crypto trading platform, what is it that they want to do? And what is it that they're going to look for? So understanding the mix of those two things. So what is it they want to do when they're looking for a crypto trading platform? Trade. What is it that they're going to look for when they look to trade crypto? The name of cryptos. So the product I create for that, which is product-led SEO, is the pricing page. So it's not about how do I get more traffic for Coinbase? It is how do I get more revenue for Coinbase, which comes from this organic search channel. I did the exact same thing for Tinder, which I referenced earlier, which is everyone in that entire space knows Tinder exists. But the goal of SEO for Tinder was to make more revenue from search. And the way that Tinder was going to make more revenue from search is have users come in from search and do the things that they do to pay them. And it doesn't mean right away. It's not direct response. So the way Tinder works for all of the people listening that have never used Tinder before is mostly for men. They subscribe to some of their plans where they have to pay to get more access and to send more messages. These are subscription products. So Tinder's generally free. So from search, we want them to come into Tinder, use Tinder, hit the paywall, and pay. That might not happen from that search, but it will eventually happen from a search-acquired user.
What do you think about quizzes? The usage of quizzes just to create some intention or more connection to the process?
Depends on whether it's user-centric. So if it's just traffic, and there's...
No, not just traffic. Just building a proper quiz as a landing page, just directing people towards a quiz where they are going to be asked questions in a very nice UI slick way, and you're just building their involvement into the process, and then I think
it's a next phase. I have another example which I can explain with a quiz, but I think the way you're describing quiz might not work. But I'll explain the other example after this. So what I did with Tinder was really, how do I get more users in that are in market, even if they already have the app? So my goal wasn't direct response. I want to get them to convert. My goal was, you're in a situation where you could be using Tinder. Come use Tinder from a search engine and then bump into payroll and then pay. And that becomes a search acquired revenue.
And then you just need to drive them into the right step in the funnel. Because if you drive them, if they're already using Tinder and you're trying to upsell them, the magic is if you can get them into the right phase of the funnel initially.
Yeah, but
from the SEO process.
But that's not my job, and that's...
I understand.
No.
Somebody needs to do that.
No, that's how I come in as a consultant. My job is to partner with all the other people who do their job effectively, which is, if the product sucks, no one converts. If you have no conversion funnel, no one converts. So I'm inserting myself into, here's how we're going to build a really good product, which partners with your team, and now we'll convert. So what I did in this case for Tinder was the most likely case where someone is looking for Tinder, which they're not going directly onto the app, is when they've changed locations. So they're going to search. So they've moved to a new location permanently or temporarily, they're traveling, and they go onto a search engine and they look for a companionship. Tinder actually thought of themselves as a social network, not just what everyone thinks of Tinder. So that happened when they moved. So the product we built was around local. So if you search dating in Tel Aviv, dating in Eilat, dating in Dubai, dating in any city in the world in 40 different languages, you're going to find a Tinder landing page. Not necessarily number one. I don't need to be number one because I put the same effort into Eilat as I put in for Tel Aviv, as I put in for Beersheba. So you find this Tinder landing page. Now, you as a searcher, you're like, I'm lonely. I just Googled dating in this brand new city and I'm stuck in a hotel room. You find Tinder, you're like, oh, that's right. I have the Tinder app on my phone. You click through. This took a very long time for us to build because you're deep linking. You click through from that page. It doesn't go to a conversion page. It goes to the app in your phone. Now you start interacting with the app. You bump into the payroll and you've upgraded. So
and hopefully magic. A lift in revenue.
A number of those people. So the way that past people had approached Tinder SEO was, let's create a bunch of traffic, get a bunch of people. That wasn't the way we did it. The reason we did it this way was because we wanted people to pay. Now, the other thing is we wanted men to pay. Women don't pay. They don't need to. So we wanted men to pay. This was the experience that men were going to have when they traveled. It was very easy to acquire women just to create a bunch of content. They'd done that before, which is like, here's how to fall in love. Here's how to say I love you. Doesn't create people paying. So the SEO strategy we built was around people paying. Now, the example around quizzes, worked with another company that was in the online therapy space. So they provided therapy solutions to people that have mental health problems. So the way they approached SEO before I started working with them was glossaries. This is what anxiety is. This is what depression is. These are some of the things that people do when they're depressed. That doesn't create a follow-on conversion into, I need online therapy and I'm going to pay for online therapy. So what I did was, the first thing I did, talked about in first principles before, which is understand who these users are, build SEO around those users. I had them go back to the therapists and had them look at all their data to identify who comes through this funnel. What person are they trying to do? Shockingly, they didn't know. They just knew people with mental health problems, but I wanted LTV, not just conversions. So they discovered that the people that had the most likelihood of converting and not churning were females in their 30s with relationship problems.
I'm shocked.
Yes. But now all we had to do was build SEO around that journey, not anxiety, not depression, not Prozac, not anything else. So when we started building around that, we incorporated quizzes into it, which is what goes up higher in the funnel. I have anxiety before going on a date. I have anxiety at my job. And then you can create a quiz there that brings them to a different place in the funnel. So it wasn't just landing them on a quiz. Take a quiz to see if you have anxiety. It was, you have anxiety. This is the problem you feel. Take this quiz and we'll direct you to our solution.
Yeah, people like getting answers. People like others that are coming with the white robe and saying, here's the issue.
But they're going into search with a problem. So then you present their answer. So what most people do search around is they try to match the content with the problem. They don't want problems. The reason they love AI is because AI gives them the solution. You've told AI your problem, AI has the solution.
And it's not just a solution, it's the solution by the smartest model that humankind has ever managed to produce.
But it's an informational solution. Yeah. If you actually want therapy, you want to book a hotel, you want to buy a mattress, you're going to the 10 blue links. That doesn't die. It's just really capturing them in the right
place. My bet is things are going to change with personalization of just reviewers. The broad idea of just looking at averages, it was supposed to die by now, and it's going to die, I think, in the next few years. I don't care about if a show has a 4.8 or a game has a 9.2 score on game rankings or whatever. I want to know what I would like to play or see or eat or sleep on. And that metric, I think it's going to be a combination of massive amounts of data with AI and someone who's going to take the initiative and actually build the product that is going to do that.
Google will.
I don't know. Google is good at a lot of things, not exactly this one, but
it's also expanded. So I think we're in a world where now more searches are happening, and I don't think the name needs to change. It can stay as SEO. We're going to have searches that happen with classes. We're going to have searches that happen with voice. Voice is going to become more used. I have an upcoming newsletter post on this and like how voice is changing because of Gemini now being incorporated into all those devices people bought that were totally useless. People are going to do more searches with images. I do tons of searches with images because I don't understand Hebrew, and I just take a picture and I translate or do circle to search on my phone. So all of that is still SEO. It's not typing things in. So I think the world is changing with more searches and more need to actually optimize for those kinds of users.
And having said that, Eli, thank you very much for your time. You were very generous, and I would say good luck, but you are a Yirmiyahu, so I don't know.
Yirmiyahu always needs luck.
And Navi Beiro, as they say. Okay, thank you very much.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Until next time. Bye for now.